Chapter 1, The Failed Assassination. The air in the Xylosian bar hung thick with the scent of ozone and something vaguely floral, a peculiar combination that spoke volumes about the alien clientele. The establishment, known only as the Obsidian Mirror, was carved from a single, obsidian-like asteroid, its interior a dazzling display of opulence that bordered on gaudiness. Crystalline structures pulsed with soft, internal light, casting an ethereal glow on the plush seating and the impossibly smooth surfaces. Xylarth, a Xylosian high challenger whose carapace shimmered with an almost unsettling iridescence, sat perched on a high-backed chair, his 8 slender limbs folded neatly beneath him. His multiple eyes, each a different shade of violet, seemed to absorb the light around him. Across the polished table sat Kazax, the galaxy's most notorious assassin. He was a human, ironically, though his appearance was far from ordinary. Years of brutal combat had carved lines into his face, leaving behind a tapestry of scars that spoke of countless close calls. His eyes, cold and calculating, missed nothing. He didn't fidget, he didn't speak unless spoken to. He was a predator waiting for his prey, radiating an aura of lethal calm. The contract is simple, Xylarth's voice, translated flawlessly into galactic standard, was a low, resonant hum. Eliminate Jackson Riley. He is a nuisance. A loose end. Kazax merely nodded, his expression unchanging. He'd heard this sort of thing before. Loose ends, pests, inconvenient truths, all euphemisms for those deemed expendable. Xylarth produced a small, intricately carved box. Inside, nestled on a bed of velvet, rested a diamond. Not just any diamond, but a nebula-sized diamond, its facets capturing and refracting the light from the nebula swirling outside the obsidian mirror's panoramic windows. The sheer size of it was breathtaking, a testament to the vast wealth and power of the Xylosian Empire. It pulsed with an inner light, a gentle warmth that belied its deadly significance. Payment, Xylarth stated flatly. Your guarantee. Kazax reached out, his fingers brushing against the cool surface of the gemstone. He felt its weight, its power, the cold certainty of its worth. It represented more than just payment, it was a symbol of Xylarth's power, a silent promise of swift, ruthless efficiency. And the details? Kazax asked, his voice a low growl. He wasn't interested in sentiment, he wanted information, specifics. He needed to know the risks, the variables, the potential complications. Xylarth leaned closer, his iridescent carapace gleaming in the dim light. Riley is human, retired military. Currently attending a diplomatic function on Station Kepler. Unremarkable, seemingly harmless. But he knows too much. He's aware. Kazax raised an eyebrow. Aware of what? Of our acquisition of certain terrestrial technologies. Technologies that should remain within our grasp. Technologies that are vital to our continued superiority. He poses a threat. A subtle one, but a threat nonetheless. Xylarth paused, his multiple eyes focusing on Kazax. He must be eliminated discreetly. No questions asked. No witnesses. Kazax studied the diamond again, weighing the implications of the mission. The nebula-sized gemstone represented an enormous sum, enough to secure his independence for years, perhaps decades. But the ambiguity was troubling. What makes you think I can eliminate this nuisance so discreetly? Xylarth let out a quiet chuckle, a sound like shifting tectonic plates. Because, Kazax, you are the best. And failure is simply unacceptable. The implied threat hung heavy in the air. The opulent surroundings felt suddenly cold, the light less warm. The briefing continued, Xylarth detailing Riley's supposed routine, his habits, his connections. The information was sparse, intentionally vague. It was clear Xylarth trusted no one completely, even the galaxy's deadliest assassin. He emphasized the importance of discretion, the need to eliminate Riley without leaving a trace. The potential repercussions of failure were left unspoken, but they resonated strongly in the silence that followed. Cossacks listened impassively, absorbing the information, processing the risks, calculating the odds. He knew the Zyloshan race, he knew their ruthlessness, their obsession with maintaining their technological advantage. He knew that failure wasn't merely an option, it was a death sentence, and not just for him. The weight of the nebula-sized diamond seemed to increase with each passing moment, a constant reminder of the task ahead and the price of failure. The opulence of the obsidian mirror felt almost suffocating, the vibrant nebula outside a stark contrast to the cold, calculated atmosphere within. The Zyloshan contract had been accepted, but the true complexities of the mission were still unfolding, shrouded in secrecy and the unspoken threat of unimaginable consequences. The diamond, a symbol of Zyloshan power, would soon become a pawn in a far larger game, a game that Cossacks was about to be thrust into. The seemingly insignificant human, Jackson Riley, was about to become the center of a galaxy-spanning conspiracy, a conspiracy far more intricate than even Cossacks could have imagined. The hunt was on. The opulent ballroom of Station Kepler pulsed with 1,000 conversations, a cacophony of alien tongues and the clinking of exotic glasses. Humanoid diplomats, their faces carefully crafted masks of diplomatic pleasantries, mingled with insectoid dignitaries and reptilian ambassadors. The air shimmered with the faint aura of 100 different technologies, each vying for attention amidst the glittering chandeliers and the softly glowing, bioluminescent flora adorning the walls. In the midst of this interstellar gathering, Jackson Riley stood seemingly out of place. He was dressed in a simple, almost rumpled, dark suit, his demeanor unassuming, bordering on disheveled. He held a half-empty glass of something amber, swirling it idly while observing the scene with a detached amusement. He looked like a man utterly out of his depth, an accidental tourist lost in a galactic gala. This, of course, was a carefully cultivated illusion. Cossacks, having infiltrated the station undetected, had followed Riley's movements for hours, meticulously studying his routine, his habits, his seemingly innocuous interactions. He'd identified Riley's target, a secluded alcove near a hydroponics bay where the lighting was dimmed and the chatter muted. It was the perfect place for a quick, clean kill, a whisper in the vastness of the interstellar gathering. He moved through the crowd like a wraith, his presence somehow both unseen and overwhelming. His hand rested lightly on the hilt of a Zyloshan pulse knife, its energy hum a silent promise of swift, lethal efficiency. Riley, however, seemed entirely oblivious. He was engaged in a perfunctory conversation with a Balian ambassador, his responses clipped and seemingly disinterested. But his eyes, hidden behind thick-rimmed glasses, never strayed far from the alcove, registering every subtle shift in the crowd's density, every flicker of movement in the periphery. He was a predator in sheep's clothing, his seeming indifference a carefully constructed mask concealing a razor-sharp awareness. As Cossack slipped into the alcove, his pulse knife already extended, Riley's seemingly casual demeanor shattered. The leisurely swirl of his drink ceased, his eyes, now sharp and focused, met Cossack's across the room with a chilling intensity. The ambassador's words, caught mid-sentence, hung in the air, unheard. The assassination attempt was not a clumsy ambush, but a ballet of calculated movements, a deadly game of cat and mouse played out in a space of mere seconds. Cossacks moved with the practiced grace of a seasoned killer, closing the distance between them with lethal speed. His pulse knife, a shimmering blade of Zyloshan technology, arced towards Riley's heart. But Riley had anticipated this moment. In a blur of motion, Riley reacted, his seemingly frail frame transforming into a whirlwind of disciplined movement. He didn't flinch, he didn't dodge clumsily. His response was fluid, economical, perfectly choreographed. He met Cossacks' attack with a counteroffensive that was both brutal and precise. It was a display of martial arts mastery that transcended the mundane, every move was lethal, every strike aimed at a vital point. The pulse knife, inches from his chest, was deflected with a flick of his wrist. His hand, remarkably quick, snatched a small, metallic object from his inner pocket, a custom-made taser disguised as a pen. The taser, charged to a level far beyond anything commercially available, delivered a debilitating shock to Kozak's arm, sending a wave of searing pain through his nervous system. He staggered, his attack faltering. This gave Riley the opening he needed. With a speed that seemed almost supernatural, Riley closed the distance, his movements a blur of calculated force. He neutralized Kozak with a series of precise strikes, expertly disarming the assassin and pinning him to the floor with a swift, efficient takedown. The entire sequence took less than 5 seconds, leaving onlookers dumbfounded. The metallic clang of Kozak's pulse knife hitting the polished floor echoed in the sudden, stunned silence. The murmur of conversation died away, replaced by an unnerving hush as every eye in the vicinity turned to Riley and the incapacitated assassin. The Bolian ambassador's unfinished sentence still hung in the air, a testament to the abrupt halt of the diplomatic exchange. Riley, having secured Kozak, stood over him, his breath even, his expression remarkably calm considering the circumstances. He had a detached air about him, as though he were merely cleaning up a minor spill instead of subduing one of the galaxy's most notorious assassins. The expression never wavered, no triumph, no exertion, no emotion betrayed the incredible feat of physical prowess he'd just displayed. He then produced a small, sleek device from another pocket, a neural disruptor. With a precise movement, he applied it to Kozak's temple, rendering him unconscious. The whole thing was executed with clinical efficiency, a testament to years of rigorous training in the shadowy world of clandestine operations. The stunned silence of the room held for several long moments before breaking into a low hum of startled murmurs. The sight of the galaxy's most feared assassin, subdued so effortlessly, was enough to inspire awe and more than a touch of fear. Riley, the seemingly harmless retiree, had just demonstrated an unexpected and terrifying skill set. His reputation, once unremarkable, was rapidly undergoing a profound transformation. The truth was far more complex, far more interesting, than Xylarth, or even Kozak, could have imagined. The nebula-sized diamond, a symbol of Xylotian power, was about to become a pawn in a far more intricate game, a game of deceit, espionage, and high-stakes technological warfare where even the deadliest of assassins could find themselves outsmarted. The failed assassination attempt was just the beginning, a carefully orchestrated move in a much larger scheme. Riley's unexpected defense was not just a display of skill, but a clear message: he was not the easy target Xylarth had believed him to be. He was in control. And the game had just begun. The diplomatic function, once a backdrop for intrigue, had now become a stage for Riley's astonishing, and carefully planned, reveal. The stunned silence that followed Kozak's incapacitation was thick enough to cut with a knife, or perhaps, a Xylotian pulse knife. Riley, however, remained unmoved, his expression as impassive as a carved statue. He allowed the murmuring to build, letting the shock ripple through the assembled dignitaries before finally speaking, his voice low and controlled, barely audible above the hushed whispers. "I believe," he stated, his words cutting through the quiet, "that there's been a slight misunderstanding." He gestured towards the unconscious Kozak with a nonchalant flick of his wrist, the movement somehow managing to be both effortless and commanding. The Bolian ambassador, finally finding his voice, stammered a question, but Riley ignored him, his gaze sweeping across the room, taking in the faces of the various alien dignitaries. He knew the news of Kozak's defeat would spread like wildfire through the galactic network. This was exactly what he'd intended. The arrival of security personnel was swift and efficient. They moved with the practiced ease of those accustomed to dealing with high-profile incidents, their movements a silent ballet of professionalism. Riley cooperated fully, answering their questions with a crisp efficiency that belied the extraordinary nature of the events that had unfolded. He identified himself, not as a retired nobody, but as Jackson Riley, freelance security consultant. His explanation, while brief, painted a picture of a conspiracy of galactic proportions. He spoke of stolen Earth technology, of Xylotian corporate espionage, and of a nebulosized diamond acting as the ultimate bribe. His words, initially met with disbelief, gradually gained traction as the weight of his composure, and the evidence before them, the unconscious Cossacks and the discarded pulse knife, solidified the incredulity. Later, in a secure, underground facility beneath Station Kepler, a location known only to a select few, Riley sat at a holographic workstation, the image of Cossacks' face shimmering before him. The facility was a marvel of engineering, a testament to the resources he'd discreetly amassed over the years, meticulously crafted layers of security cloaking a sophisticated tech hub. It was here, amidst the humming servers and the blinking lights, that Riley felt truly at home. His retirement, he mused, had been anything but. It had been the perfect cover, a calculated step in a much larger, more complex game. He'd orchestrated his seemingly unremarkable existence, the carefully cultivated image of a man out of his depth, to gain the trust of his targets, and to lure Cossacks into his trap. The diplomatic function hadn't been a chance encounter, it had been a meticulously planned event, a stage for his stunning reveal. Now, his focus shifted to the next phase of his operation. He was tracking the stolen technology, using a network of informants and advanced surveillance systems that extended across the galaxy. His skills weren't limited to hand-to-hand combat, his mind was as sharp as any blade, his strategic thinking second to none. He was a master of information gathering and analysis. His workstation displayed a complex web of data streams, each thread meticulously connected, each piece of information adding to the greater picture. He was building a case, not just for arrest, but for a full-scale indictment that would expose the entire Xylotian conspiracy, one piece of evidence at a time. He reviewed the security footage from the ballroom, frame by frame, analyzing every subtle movement, every fleeting glance, every seemingly innocuous interaction. He found micro-expressions, subconscious gestures, the imperceptible language of deception that his years of experience had trained him to identify. He had identified a second Xylotian operative moving in tandem with Cossacks, a woman with almost imperceptible movements, expertly weaving through the crowds like a shadow, a silent accomplice. He zoomed in on the woman, her face obscured by shadows and the crush of the crowd. She was a ghost, only existing in the edges of the security footage, her presence confirmed by subtle shifts in the crowd density around her. He cross-referenced her movements with the data streams showing the stolen technology's trail, using sophisticated algorithms to identify patterns and connections. The connections were initially faint, but as he refined his search parameters, a clearer picture emerged. The woman was not just an accomplice, she was the key to locating the stolen goods. She was the one who oversaw the transfer of the technology, a ghost in the machine, moving it from point to point, leaving no trace. Her presence represented a far more significant threat, far more sophisticated and cunning. Riley accessed encrypted communications logs, his sophisticated software breaking through multiple layers of Xylotian encryption. He found a series of coded messages, carefully crafted to evade detection. But Riley's linguistic skills were as honed as his martial arts expertise. He easily deciphered their contents, revealing intricate details of the operation, specific locations, and covert meeting places. He even uncovered the true destination of the stolen technology, a heavily fortified Xylotian research facility on the far side of the Andromeda Galaxy. This represented a challenge on a whole other level, but Riley welcomed it. He wasn't just hunting a thief, he was taking down an empire. As he worked, the holographic image of Cossacks flickered, replaced by a three-dimensional model of the Xylotian research facility. The model showcased its intricate layout, its multiple layers of security, and its sophisticated defense systems. Riley studied the schematics, his mind already formulating a plan. It was far from a simple heist, it would require precision, cunning, and a level of risk far beyond anything he'd previously encountered. But he was not intimidated. He thrived in the face of impossible odds. This wasn't just about apprehending a thief, this was about exposing a galactic conspiracy, one that threatened not just Earth, but the entire balance of power in the known galaxy. He tapped into his extensive network of contacts, reaching out to specialists in various fields, ex-military operatives, hackers, and tech experts. He assembled a small, elite team, each member carefully chosen for their unique skills and experience. They worked in the shadows, moving with the efficiency of a well-oiled machine, a silent force operating just beyond the reach of the authorities. The nebula-sized diamond, the payment for Kozak's failed assassination, remained in Riley's possession, a powerful bargaining chip, a symbol of Xyloshan power, and a potent weapon in his arsenal. It was more than just a bribe, it represented the sheer hubris of the Xyloshan Corporation, their overconfidence in their own power. Riley intended to leverage it to its fullest potential, using it to expose their treachery, and to extract the information he needed to bring them down. This wasn't just a game, this was a war, and Riley was far from outmatched. He was, in fact, winning. The failed assassination was not a failure at all, but a brilliant opening move in a much larger strategy, one that had just begun to unfold. The galaxy was about to witness the true extent of Jackson Riley's extraordinary abilities. The retirement had been a masterclass in deception, the game, however, was far from over. The nebula-sized diamond, a testament to Xyloshan arrogance, was now a tool in the hands of the man who had outsmarted them all. The rhythmic hum of the server room was a comforting backdrop to Riley's intense focus. The nebula diamond, pulsing with an inner light that seemed to shift and change with his every move, sat on his desk, a breathtaking spectacle of cosmic proportions. It wasn't just a jewel, it was a key, a potent symbol of the Xyloshan conspiracy, and a powerful bargaining chip in the game he was playing. Its size alone was staggering, a fist-sized chunk of near-perfect crystal, radiating an almost palpable energy. Its facets captured and refracted the light in mesmerizing patterns, a miniature galaxy trapped within its crystalline structure. He'd had it analyzed, of course. The initial assessment had been astonishing. It wasn't just a diamond, it was composed of a previously unknown form of superdense carbon, possessing properties that defied existing scientific understanding. Its energy signature was unique, a complex interplay of gravitational and electromagnetic forces. It was a scientific marvel, a piece of naturally occurring technology that exceeded anything humanity had ever created. Its origin remained a mystery, adding another layer of intrigue to its already enigmatic nature. The initial assessment, however, had only scratched the surface. Riley had commissioned further analyses from specialists across the globe, or rather, across the galaxy. He needed to know everything about the diamond, its creation, its purpose, its potential uses. The information gleaned from it could be the key to unlocking the Xyloshan's motives, their plans, and the true extent of their technology theft. He picked up the diamond, its weight surprisingly substantial for its size. He turned it in his hand, the cool smoothness of its surface a stark contrast to the burning intensity of his purpose. Kozaks, still unconscious in the secure holding cell just down the corridor, held the key to the diamond's true significance. He was the link between the assassination attempt and the larger conspiracy, the missing piece of the puzzle. The initial plan had been simple: eliminate Kozaks, recover the stolen technology, and expose the Xyloshan operation. But the unexpected appearance of the Nebula Diamond had shifted the strategic landscape. It was a game-changer, a prize far exceeding the value of the technology itself. Riley now possessed a weapon far more potent than any pulse knife, a bargaining chip capable of swaying even the most powerful entities in the galaxy. His team, a collection of highly specialized individuals operating in the shadows, had already begun working. He'd tapped into their diverse skill sets, advanced interrogation techniques, sophisticated cyber warfare, subtle influence peddling, and covert intelligence gathering. Each member was a master in their respective fields, forming a perfectly synchronized unit operating on his precise instructions. His team had already begun extracting information from Kozak's network, carefully unraveling the web of deceit that had been spun by the Xyloshan Corporation. They were tracing the stolen technology's path, mapping out the network of operatives and collaborators, dissecting encrypted communications, and analyzing financial transactions. It was a complex undertaking, requiring the coordinated efforts of multiple experts, each contributing their specific expertise to the overarching strategy. Riley's work focused on Cossacks himself. He intended to use the Nebula Diamond not just as a bribe, but as a tool to extract information. The sheer value of the jewel, its unprecedented properties, its mysterious origins, all of these factors would act as leverage. He wouldn't simply offer it, he would use it as a means of control, a tool to manipulate the unconscious assassin, to compel him to reveal the secrets buried within his mind. He reviewed the security footage again, focusing on Cossacks' subtle movements and gestures, looking for any clues to the diamond's significance. He was hunting for the precise moment when Cossacks had first learned of the diamond's existence, searching for the unspoken cues that would hint at the true nature of his mission. It was the meticulous attention to detail, the relentless pursuit of every piece of evidence, that had characterized his career, and now he was putting those skills to their ultimate test. The challenge wasn't just extracting information, it was managing the risk. The Xyloshan Corporation was powerful, ruthless, and well-connected. They had vast resources at their disposal, and their network extended to the highest levels of government and business across multiple planets. Any misstep could have fatal consequences. Riley needed to move with precision, stealth, and unwavering resolve. He visualized the layers of Xyloshan security, the sophisticated surveillance systems, the hidden operatives, the layers of deception and misinformation. He saw the trap, and he was setting his own trap to catch them within it. The Nebula Diamond was not only a tool, but a symbol of his success, a mark of his victory. The galaxy's balance of power hung in the balance. A single wrong move could topple established systems, plunge entire worlds into chaos, or trigger a galactic war. Riley was well aware of the stakes, but the weight of responsibility only fueled his determination. He was not a man who backed down from a challenge, he was a master of strategy, a tactician of unsurpassed skill, a master manipulator, and a force of nature that would not be deterred. The game had begun with a failed assassination, but the Nebula Diamond had changed everything. The stakes were higher, the risks were greater, but the potential rewards were unimaginable. Riley knew he was playing a high-stakes game, but he was playing to win. He was playing for the future of the galaxy, and he wouldn't rest until he had exposed the Xyloshan conspiracy, and brought their empire crashing down around them. The Nebula Diamond was more than a symbol of their arrogance, it was the instrument of their downfall. And Riley, the seemingly retired nobody, would wield it with deadly precision. The game was far from over, it was only just beginning. The galaxy, and the future, held its breath. The rhythmic hum of the server room faded as Riley delved deeper into the data streams his team had painstakingly extracted. Cossacks' network was a labyrinth of encrypted communications, shell corporations, and offshore accounts, a carefully constructed tapestry of deceit designed to obscure the Xyloshan Corporation's true activities. But Riley's team, with their specialized skills in cryptography and cyber warfare, was methodically pulling at the threads, revealing the intricate web beneath. The initial findings were unsettling. The technology theft, initially believed to be the Xyloshan's primary objective, was merely a smokescreen, a diversionary tactic designed to mask a far more ambitious and sinister agenda. The stolen technology, while advanced, was far from the crown jewel of their operation. The true prize, it seemed, lay elsewhere, hidden within the labyrinthine structure of the Xyloshan Corporation itself. One of Riley's team members, a former MI6 agent named Anya Sharma, specialized in corporate espionage and financial manipulation. She discovered a series of seemingly innocuous transactions that, upon closer inspection, revealed a pattern of illicit funding flowing between Xyloshan subsidiaries and several high-ranking government officials on several planets. The implication was clear, the Xylosians weren't merely stealing technology, they were buying influence, subverting governments, and manipulating political systems to achieve their ultimate goals. Another member of the team, a brilliant but eccentric astrophysicist named Dr. Elias Vance, focused on the scientific aspects of the Xyloshan operation. He identified several anomalies in the Xylosian Corporation's research patterns, indicating they were working on something far beyond simple technological advancements. The anomalies pointed toward the development of a weapon of unimaginable power, potentially capable of shifting the balance of galactic power irrevocably. The pieces of the puzzle were beginning to fall into place. The assassination attempt on Cossacks wasn't a random act of violence, it was a calculated move designed to eliminate a loose end, someone who knew too much. Cossacks, it turned out, wasn't just a skilled assassin, he was a highly placed insider who had betrayed the Xylosian Corporation, revealing details of their true plans. The Xylosian Corporation, Riley discovered, was not merely a corporation, but a sophisticated network of interconnected organizations spanning multiple planets. It had infiltrated government agencies, industrial conglomerates, and even research institutions, creating a vast network of collaborators, accomplices, and unwitting participants. Their intricate web of deceit extended far beyond mere technology theft or corporate espionage. They were manipulating markets, influencing elections, and even orchestrating conflicts, all to advance their hidden agenda. The scale of the conspiracy was breathtaking, its ramifications potentially catastrophic. The setting shifted. Images from a Xylosian research facility, obtained through a daring infiltration by Riley's team's tech specialist, revealed the true scope of their technological prowess. The facility was a monument to technological advancement, a hive of activity humming with the energy of countless experimental devices. Advanced robotics, energy weapons, and genetic engineering technologies were displayed openly, showcased like trophies. But it was the hidden, classified sections that were truly alarming. Riley's team discovered evidence of research into technologies far beyond human comprehension, technologies that seemed to bend the laws of physics. They found data suggesting the Xylosians had somehow mastered the manipulation of dark matter, harnessing its power for applications that were simultaneously terrifying and awe-inspiring. The sheer audacity of their scientific endeavors was breathtaking, a testament to their relentless ambition and disregard for ethical boundaries. They encountered evidence of a project codenamed Project Chimera, a program that seemed to combine biological and technological elements in ways that defied explanation. The implications were unsettling, the creation of a new species, a bioengineered race of super soldiers, or perhaps something far more sinister and terrifying. The ethical considerations alone were enough to send chills down Riley's spine. The scale of the corporation's ambition was staggering. Their reach extended far beyond the acquisition of technology, it was a bid for power that could reshape the entire galaxy. The research facility's security was exceptionally tight. Multiple layers of surveillance, advanced detection systems, and heavily armed guards protected the facility. It was a fortress built to withstand any assault, but Riley had already foreseen this challenge. His team, masters of stealth and infiltration, had devised a plan that exploited a weakness in the facility's seemingly impenetrable defenses. Their plan was audacious, risky, and relied on a perfect coordination of skills and timing. Any slight deviation could be disastrous. The stakes were high, not just for Riley's team, but potentially for the entire galaxy. The data revealed that Project Chimera was close to completion, ready for deployment. It was a race against time. Riley's personal investigation focused on the top brass, the individuals who pulled the strings within the Xylosian Corporation. He tracked their movements, monitored their communications, and meticulously pieced together their relationships. He found a network of interlocking directorates, shared financial interests, and hidden alliances that stretched across multiple planets. The names that appeared repeatedly in the data were those of individuals who appeared beyond reproach. Powerful business magnates, influential politicians, and seemingly respected scientists. These individuals were the puppet masters, pulling the strings of the Xylosian Empire from the shadows. Riley knew that exposing them would unleash a storm of unprecedented proportions, but he was prepared for the consequences. He wasn't fighting just for the galaxy's future, he was fighting for his own survival, for the survival of his team, and for the preservation of the balance of power. The nebula diamond, a symbol of the Zylocians' ambition, would be the instrument of their downfall. He was prepared for the fight. The galaxy's fate hung precariously in the balance, and Riley, with his team, would fight to ensure it tilted towards justice. The game was far from over. The true battle was about to begin.